Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm very excited to present to you my first original tag. For some time I wanted to create a tag that I and other people, if they wish to, can record at the end of each calendar year, thinking back on how their reading year went and maybe some things that they learned about their own reading or some favorite book that maybe they discovered in a certain year. I wanted a tag that would be some kind of retrospective view on the year, in which you can think about the books that had a specific impact on you, books that really stayed in your mind and will stay with you for a longer time, or maybe some exciting bookish stuff that you've done during the year. So this is it. This is the reading retrospective tag. I hope you enjoy the questions and listening to the answers, and I would be so happy if you would also like to record your own tag or respond to the questions of the tag in the comments down below. All the questions will of course be listed in the description box down below. And without further ado, let's get into the questions. Question number 1 is, which book you read this year would you recommend to anyone and why? The book that I read this year that absolutely blew me away and I think everyone should read is Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo-Lodge. This is a non-fiction book about racism and race relations in the United Kingdom. It gives a lot of important insights about racism and how that links with feminism, but also with class, and I just think it's an essential read for anyone on this earth. It is so broadly reaching and has so many interesting insights, and some things just completely blew me away. I had to mark all kinds of things, and this is definitely one I want to revisit again and again, because I think the themes that it addresses are just so universal and are topics that I think we should really talk about on a daily basis. So this is one I highly recommend if you haven't gotten to it yet. The second question is, which book you read this year has taught you something new? In my case, it's From Here to Eternity by Caitlin Doughty. This is also a non-fiction book about the author of this book, who is a mortician by trade, and she travels to different places in the world where she discovers and tries to better understand different funerary customs all across the world, from Bolivia to Japan to Mexico, and it's just so fascinating to see how people in different cultures deal with their dead, and how in our Western culture there's so much stigma and tabooism around death. And this book is really informative. You learn a lot about different cultures and different death customs, of course, but I think it also broadens your view of just confronting yourself with what you would actually like to do with yourself when the time comes. And yeah, it's just a fantastic read with which I learned many things. Question number 3 is, which book you read this year came just at the right time when you needed it? The books I'm going to show you for this question is a book that I haven't actually finished as I film this, and that is Agatha Christie's autobiography. This is a biography she wrote herself over the span, I think, of 15 years, starting from when she was 70, and it looks back on her life, but also things that have impacted her writing and her different characters and her different books, and just also has some really interesting insights about how life was when she grew up and how there was this transition between the Victorian society and her own Edwardian society in England. And so far it's been really fascinating. I am of course a massive fan of her writing, so I'm a bit biased maybe, but this is definitely a book that I picked up beginning of the month, and it was just a few days before my PhD defense, and I just needed something comfortable, something that would take my mind off things, and it was just the perfect thing because she starts telling about her childhood and the people she grew up surrounded by. And I just found, again, this very comforting writing style. If you've read her, maybe you understand what I mean. And it was just the perfect book at the perfect time. Question number 5 is, which book you read this year will stay with you for a long time? For me, it was The Five by Hallie Rubenhold, which is a non-fiction book about the lives of the 5 women that were allegedly killed by Jack the Ripper. I think this book will stay with me for a long time because it just changed how I view history and history works, and I think it's such an important book within the nonfiction trend of reclaiming underrepresented voices, and in this case it's victims of crimes which are often overlooked over this mysterious serial killer figure, which is often sensationalized and I guess very much mediatized, and very less was really actually told about these victims. This book really taught me that it's now important to look at parts in history that we already know about from other points of view to really get the whole picture. Question number 5 is, which book you read this year expanded your reading horizons? So in terms of new genre or author or theme, style, format of reading, anything really that would apply to you. And in my case, it was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, because I almost never read fantasy. And this is just one that was sold to me by different people, that this is a fantasy book for literary fiction lovers. And I can totally see why, having read this. And I am really thrilled that I got to it at last. It's a really character-driven fantasy. The world building is not too overwhelming. The main character is very engaging and you want to see what happens to him. There's a lot of really beautiful descriptions, mostly of landscapes and of music, which was amazing. So this was definitely one that was completely out of my normal reading scope, and that was a very welcome change of reading horizons. Question number 6 is, which bookish things do you particularly enjoy doing / purchasing / using this year? For me, this was definitely using the audiobook subscription program Audible for the first time. I got a yearly subscription for Christmas from my parents last December. So I started from the 1st of January 2019, I started reading one audiobook a month pretty much. And I have really enjoyed that. I know a lot of people are using Audible, but I think it's worth mentioning that I always considered myself being someone who is not really good with audiobooks. That's because I'm just a very visual person, and that's why I've always liked better having things on the written page. But I found that it's actually perfect for reading memoirs and nonfiction. And for me, it has worked really well this year. Question number 7 is, who are some booktubers, subscribers, or other bookish friends that you got to know better this year? So it can be in any way, through watching videos, commenting, or even personal contact, maybe like online or even in person. I was very fortunate this year to get to know a few people on a more personal level, or at least better than just watching their videos. And that's firstly Madeleine from Made with Books, with whom I did a buddy read this year, and I'm also currently doing one with her again. And this has been so much fun. She's such a lovely person and always has some really interesting insights. I also got to know better Sandra from Pull Down the Moon. We buddy read Jackie Kay's memoir together, which was great. And we also chat on other platforms. Next, I also have to mention Julie from The Hungry Bookworm. She has been such an amazing support for my channel. She found me through the International Booktuber tag, and we've been in contact ever since. So yeah, Julie, again, thank you so much for everything. And finally, I also want to mention Jenny from the channel Bookish Shenanigans. We have also buddy read this year and have basically been also in personal contact ever since. She's such a lovely person, and I just love chatting about everything and nothing with her. So all in all, I am so happy that this year I made so many bookish friends, all the people who are interacting with me through comments or otherwise since I started my channel. I am so grateful for all of you guys, and I am really looking forward to continuing that next year. Question number 8 is, what booktube videos did you particularly enjoy this year? Obviously, there's too many to mention all of them, but I'm just going to highlight 2 sets of videos. The first one is the International Booktuber tag, which was created by Daniela from the channel, now she's called Daniela Nina Reads. And it's such a great tag because it introduces you to people from the English-speaking booktube community for which English is not their mother tongue. and it has been so fantastic to follow this tag along and discovering people like me who have taken the plunge and are recording videos in English to interact with the English-speaking bookish community. So this is a super good tag, the original of which I will link down below, as well as my take on it. And the next series, I guess, of videos I want to highlight are the Mission Marple series from Mara from Books Like Whoa. She has taken on the project of reading all the Miss Marple books, I guess since this year. I don't know if it started already the year before, but she has been putting out videos about each Marple book that she has read, and then an in-depth review, some really interesting thoughts on like themes, and there have been so interesting videos to follow. So I also definitely recommend this series of videos. Lastly, question number 9 is, did you discover a new all-time favorite? I think I kind of did. It's definitely one that I would consider if I would record another my favorite books. I would probably include it in it. And that is Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. This is basically the portrait of a family living in the southern United States. We mostly follow a young boy, Jojo, and his growing up, I guess, and taking care of his little sister and having to deal with a mother who is an addict. I will link down below a review of this book that I did, which I paired together with a song sung by Billie Holiday, so you can go and check it out and hear more about what's inside. But it's a book that really punched me in the guts, that took me by surprise, and that I ended up liking way more than I initially anticipated. And if you like coming-of-age stories, if you like literary fiction that's written very poetically, if you like stories about family, then you should really read this book. It's absolutely amazing. The last question of this tag is just to tag your favorite bookish people. And this video would be way too long if I started naming all the people I want to tag for this tag. They will all be listed down below, and if you've been interacting with me during this year, you will probably be on there, so go and check it out. Anyway, anyone who is watching this, consider yourself tagged. I would love it if you would want to answer to these questions, and please write in the comments down below if you're recording this video so that I can go and check it out. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this. Thank you for all your support during this year. I will probably come back on here at the beginning of 2020, and I'm really looking forward to see what this new year has in store for all of us readers. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful holiday time, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!